Okay, so we're going to work on showing our work for calculating average speed or speed. And so you have this handout with 4 problems that we're gonna practice, and I'll do a 1 or 2 and you finish as homework. And you need to capture a picture of your work that's gonna be on the back of this page and submit it so I can give you credit for doing this work. So each of these problems are going to be worth 4 points. So I'm going to show you the steps. It's kind of a lot like following order of operations, but we're going to show how the work should look and how to organize it. Well, this is not really enough space on the problems down here, so I want you to turn your paper over, or you're using notebook paper because you're looking at the problems digitally online. So you're going to have a paper that's divided into fourths, and the first one is just like on the front side, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to walk through the practice one here. And so basically it's where the variable is V equals average speed, D stands for distance traveled, and T is time. So this is total time, total distance traveled by total time. So in this particular sample, if Maria runs 6 kilometers in 1.4 hours, what is her average speed? You're going to need to, as far as step 1 goes, you always write the formula. Even though you have the formula there, practicing writing it will help you memorize it. So that's worth a point. Even on the test for this, not just homework, this is how the points will work. As you do order of operations, you move down. And now you replace your variables with the numbers given. So we know that the distance traveled in this story problem is 6 kilometers. And we write the units along with the number. And the fraction or ratio has the ratio line horizontally. And we're writing horizontally because as we get into dimensional analysis later, or canceling units at the same time as doing the math, we will be in practice of setting it up nicely. In this case, we can't cancel kilometers with hours, so we're going to carry our units with us in our answer. So we've transferred our work into the equation, and then over on the side, not in your order of operations space, you're going to do your work. So 6 divided by 1.5 hours means you cannot divide by a decimal, and this is actually a 6th grade review, so you need to show your work, and it's easy division. You're rounding to the nearest hundredth, so if it doesn't terminate, you're going to just stop at the thousandths to round to the hundredths. So you can't divide by a non-whole number, so you have to make this whole. Okay, and then we have 15 goes into 60, a total of 4 times. And we subtract and get remainder 0. So we have our workspace and our work credit, and then we write the answer as our last step in the order of operations. So Maria runs 4, bring your units. If you don't have your units, you don't get credit, because in science, if we don't have a unit with our number, we don't know what the number represents. So all of that then gives you a point, and your answer should be with a box. So that's how to show your work for the 4 points. Your equation, substitute your numbers for your variables given, have a workspace on the side, show your work, and write your answer using the proper units. So let's do number 1 on the handout together. So if Francisco It takes Francisco 15 minutes to ride his bicycle 4 kilometers, which is the distance from his home to school. What is the average speed that he traveled? So on the back of your paper, you would have number 1, and you're going to write V equals distance divided by time. V stands for average speed, and his distance traveled in this story problem is 4 kilometers in time of 15 minutes. And over here is your work. So that's worth a point. That's worth a point. Your work is going to be worth a point, so you take 4 divided by 15, and we know we're going to have decimal to the hundredths if it doesn't terminate. And we get 15 into 4 none times, decimal. Then 15 into 40 twice for a total of 30, remainder 10. Keep going. So 15 into 100, you just count 2 groups of 15s for 30. Another 2 is 60. 2 more from that is 90, so that's a total of 6. 15 times 6 is 90. Subtract. Again, you're going to end up with a repeating decimal, which tells you 0.26 repeating rounds to, and we don't use repeating numbers in our answers in science, so we round to the hundredth. So the answer to how what the average speed for Francisco is V, or average speed, is 0.26 using the units kilometers per minute. Oops, rounded to the nearest hundredth would be 0.27. And there's your work. So you have formula, replace the variables with your numbers in this sequence, your work credit, and your answer with units rounded to the hundredths, and a box around it. So then you go ahead and work on the other 3 problems showing your work. Take a picture of your work just like I have this up. Get a picture of that, submit it, and you have credit for knowing how to calculate speed.